Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm currently at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. And this is the book that I'll be sharing from, Unleashing Buddhanature, Personal Accounts by Those Touched and Reformed through the Teachings of His Eminence the 25th Sam Rinpoche. And today's sharing is by Pastor Yek Yi, page 170. From Shedding Tears to Overcoming Fears, Pastor Kok Yek Yi. So here's her picture. There you go. Right. Page 170. From Shedding Tears to Overcoming Fears, Pastor Kok Yek Yi. Pastor Kok, here's a short description on Pastor Yek Yi. Pastor Kok Yek Yi was a freelance writer seeking an interview with His Eminence the 25th Sam Rinpoche in 2009. An atheist at that time, she did not expect that the interview to drive her to the deep end of Dharma studies. She left her journalism career of 7 years and joined Kachara. In 2011, Pastor Yek Yi took her pastoral vows. She is now the head pastor and a member of Kachara's board of directors. She also oversees the operation of Kachara House. And here's her story. It was 11 p.m. when I got the call. Rinpoche wanted to meet my colleagues and me. Why now? I thought irritably. Usually I wouldn't have minded. Rinpoche works late into the night, and we were all used to meeting him at odd hours. But this was different. I was in the thick of preparing for a stage production about the Buddhist scholar Saint Lama Tsongkhapa. The show was going live the next day, and I was at my most stressed. Rinpoche had to know how pressed for time we were. There were still a million things to do. I grumbled to myself throughout the meeting, but a heavy thump threw me off my pouty preoccupations. Rinpoche had scrunched up a magazine and slammed it hard on his desk. He yelled at me, "If you can be disrespectful towards me, your teacher, how much more disrespectful towards others will you be?" Unbelievable. Why was Rinpoche picking on my attitude when he knew I was tired and stressed about the stage production? Why couldn't he be more understanding? It wasn't fair. Those thoughts, combined with my nerves for the show, made a bitter cocktail too difficult to swallow. But the only protests I could muster were the hot tears streaming down my cheeks. My sobs did nothing to put out Rinpoche's fire. In fact, he retorted that crying when being scolded just showed how self-centered I was. I was trying to create a poor me attitude that people could sympathize with and not putting my pride aside to consider what I did wrong. At that time, there was also a big crowd waiting for Rinpoche to deliver his Dharma talk. I was told to apologize to them for wasting their time. If you knew how terrified I was to speak in public at that time, you would have understood the heaviness of my legs as I dragged them before the 40 to 50 pairs of inquisitive eyes. I asked for their forgiveness and left. Back at home, I was still drenching my pillow with tears when my phone buzzed. It was a text message from a senior student of Rinpoche. He told me not to be too upset because Rinpoche's rebuke was actually a blessing for the stage production through me. That made me realize that Rinpoche wasn't attacking me personally. In Tibetan Buddhism, we believe that manifestations of wrathful methods from high lamas like Rinpoche have the power to purify negative karma. Stage productions on the life of Buddhist saints typically face a lot of obstacles, accidents, or injuries. This is because as the show benefits the audience, it also absorbs a lot of the negative imprints on the audience karma. This may then manifest and hurt those involved in the show. Rinpoche's wrath through me, however, drove away such possibility. True enough, we went on to play 4 nights without any hiccups. The tickets, which were going slowly before the event, sold out due to a surge of walk-ins. That happened during my first year in Kachara. Eventually, it became clear that Rinpoche was not picking on me. Rinpoche's wrathful manifestations toward other students were almost a weekly occurrence. Outsiders may be shocked to see a monk speaking or acting in such a way to his followers. Aren't Buddhist monks supposed to be stoic and kindly? But we, as the students, know that our Lama's wrath is a manifestation of his compassion. That fits. He through work carefully planned to bring us back to the path of Dharma. The wrath he showed me before the Lama Tsongkhapa stage production was a good example. Beyond blessing the show, I think Rinpoche was also trying to destroy my pride, which I had a lot of back then. It wasn't his first attempt. When I first joined Kachara, Rinpoche always made me share Dharma teachings in front of a crowd, even though I feared public speaking. I was always afraid I would make a fool of myself. But I obeyed Rinpoche anyway, stuttering my way through the teachings while wishing the earth would open up and swallow me whole. Slowly and shakily, I graduated from being a crowd mouse to being ordained as one of Kachara's first Buddhist pastors, a position introduced by Rinpoche to widen the spread of Dharma through lay people, not only monks and nuns. These days, I regularly speak to an audience of 30 to 40 people. So you see, Rinpoche trained me to live out my potential as a pastor through indirect ways. Sometimes his methods were not immediately obvious, even downright puzzling. I remember being awakened at unearthly hours to run errands for him. At other times, Rinpoche would text us at midnight and ask us to watch a movie with him. His purpose, I later learned, was to keep us on our toes. As a pastor, I cannot pick a convenient time to help those in need. The dying may need prayers after I've gone to bed. The lonely may need assistance when I'm in a meeting, and the tortured soul may need a shoulder to cry on when I'm eating. And I have to tend to all of them with patience and calm. Through Rinpoche's unpredictable requests and assignments, and through observing his ways, for example, Rinpoche often drops everything he is doing and runs to help someone in need. I've learned to be flexible at all times. Rinpoche's compassion is not only reserved for the bipeds who can utter thank you, yet sometimes still refuse to. He extends a caring hand even to animals, and as his students, we are all trained to do the same. When I first joined Kachara Media and Publications, each of the staff was gifted with a pet, a vibrant and beautiful fighting fish. Everyone ended up having a small tank on their office desk. Rinpoche gave us strict instructions to take good care of our own fish, and he even bought some fish food to be put in the office. Unfortunately, I had zero interest in pets, be it the swimming, flying, or crawling type. You can imagine what kind of relationship I shared with my fish. When the workload piled up, I would grumble at it for giving me even more to do. The stress of keeping it alive was also getting to me. Rinpoche had told us that how long our fish survived would reflect the kind of person we were. My fish ended up living for only 2 months. I watched the belly-up creature floating in the tank and felt an unexpected pang in my heart. It turned out that I have grown rather attached to my swimming pal on my desk, and the thought of it leaving me forever made me rather emotional. I reported to Rinpoche about the departure of my fish, and to my surprise, made a promise that I would buy another and put more effort into taking care of it. And so I stop my sharing here. And please do join me when I finish with Pastor Yeki's sharing. And as Pastor Yeki shared, as you can see, actually, through the sharing of a few students in the book, then you can see, how Rinpoche would employ different methods, to help us overcome our problems, and also to encourage the kindness within us that we always, sometimes we just are so busy with our lives that we tend to put aside, just like what Rinpoche did with Pastor Yeki and all the writers in Kachara Medias and Publications, where Rinpoche gifted them a pet fish. So, it's, it's, just like what Pastor Yeki say, that she does not have that tendency to have a, towards being close to a pet. But, until the death of her fish, that she realized that she does have it in her, and she made the promise to buy another fish to take better care of the fish. So, Rinpoche would do many things to help us realize that we do have that caring part in us, and that actually this is the part that will help us in our spiritual practice, because the main thing towards enlightenment is actually wisdom and compassion. And the thing is, in having compassion, we will need wisdom too, because we need to have that wisdom to know how to apply the compassion in the right way to help others. And and with wisdom, if you do not have the compassion, then you do not practice putting that wisdom, in the proper way too. So, which is why they go hand in hand. And also, Rinpoche has always, told me to be kind to others. And when I was cooking for Rinpoche, and it's like, and serving Rinpoche, you really, really witness how kind and compassionate Rinpoche really is. And Rinpoche would always like send, will ask us in the kitchen team to send food, to this or that, and that Rinpoche has said that you never know when it is, because in showing kindness to others, you never know when it's the right time, that somehow a seed that is within our mind or imprint within our mind could open up due to that particular kindness. And it will help that person in their spiritual pursuits. So that is what, every opportunity we need to be kind and be aware of our own actions towards others. So thank you for sharing your time with me, and do join me as I finish up with Pastor Yeki's story. So here we'll end this with a completion dedication in Tibetan. Jangjub Senjo Rinpoche, Maki Panam Geishi, Ke Panam Pame Payang, Goni Gondu Pewashu, Toni Toa Rinpoche, Maki Panam Geishi, Ke Panam Pame Payang, Goni Gondu Pewashu, Daso Jini Sapage Wadi, Tadandro Agunaka Padang, Jepa Jason Losan Trapai, Tamping in Porindusa, Seisho, Gewa Kunto Yandala Madan, Tromi Joki Pana no Joji, Sadam Langi Yote Razone, Doji Changi Ngopangatusu. Gewa di nyududa lama sangyo droyone drowa chike malupa de isala gopasho choki ke pusunga pa chosuna pa pewala geki samasi wadan tunki malu sangwasho dadam sengi dosundan drewi songi lateni gewa lo sandrapai tampa yuriva gyushi ni modele sendele ni mi gunyandele shi ni sing tatu dele pel kuncho sumni jingilo Kunchu sungi ngoduso, kunchu sungi tra si sho. Jesu nama kosen rap ching ching, nam ka trini cho chu ke pada. Lo sam tempe dro mi sap sungi, dro e mun sa tato ni gil shi. Gang ri rao e ko e shing kam den, ben nan dewa ma liu gyo e ne. Chen ren zik wan ten sing get so yi, shape shi re badu den gil shi. Home tom be ngodro ma lo pa, den de dala sa du so, ko dan den pa long chok nam. Ke pa so shi shuk den sel. Thank you, and please do join me in my next session.